go.
Hi, this is the regular scheduled meeting of the Dighton Development and Industrial Commission. This meeting is being recorded for rebroadcast on the town public access channel, cable, and also on YouTube. If everyone could join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I didn't have any old business, and for new business, I just put one agenda item, which is let's continue talking about our 2020 plans, which there were a lot of different tentacles to that we've been talking about over the past couple months. So one of them was to come up with a marketing like trifold newsletter kind of thing.
Yes, I did review the PDF.
So I don't know if you saw this. Yeah, so I emailed that out.
Yep. Yeah, it looks awesome.
So this is a draft.
Yep, I saw all the TBAs in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is something we could, we're not thinking about traffic with people when they sign up for business certificates. Yeah, I'll be on the directory, or I'm interested in the being on the spotlight series. So I thought maybe if we gave these at the minimum to the town clerk, so she could hand those out as people sign up for a business certificate. But then we can also use it, any place else we're going, put them at the town hall. Can also use it digitally, just email it out to people, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So a couple things in here. One is it starts off with this message from the town administrator, which Mike did not write. I copied most of that from some town out in Colorado, but I just liked it. So I emailed Mike and said, you have the option of rewriting this. This is just a placeholder, but, and there's a lot of places in here where I mentioned like the business portal at www.tbd.com. So right now we do have a page on the town website, but it's kind of buried. It's hard to navigate to in the menu tree, and people have trouble finding it. And if you tell them the URL, it's this long thing that no one's going to remember. So I would like to buy a domain, like www.DightonConnects.com or DightonConnected.com or DightonBusiness.com. I would like to have the .com in there as opposed to the .gov because it's just more memorable. People if you give them a URL, they just assume it's a .com. So I don't know, I'm gonna have to ask Mike, is that okay that the town has a .com address instead of a .gov address?
Right, because once upon a time, and I only know this because when I took office, I had to update a lot of contact information, various banks and things.
Yeah.
Now, once upon a time, the town used an @townofdighton.com email server.
Okay.
Yeah, I found a lot of old stuff that I was changing over.
It's just no big deal about doing that, but it goes for like $45 for 3 years. You pick a domain.
I think that's.
We could probably afford that. We get a warrant article or something.
Yeah, okay. And that way too, the software that the town uses is nice, but it's very, you have to follow their format.
Right, Civic Plus, I think it's called.
Yeah, so this would allow us to just have a blank page. We can do whatever we wanted to, so I think that would be a good idea. I just want to check with Mike before we talk about actually pulling the trigger and come up with a name. See if there's a domain that we like, and we can see if it's available. And
I like it.
Okay. The other thing was this picture in here. One is from Shaw's, and that's the one the videographer took. But Shaw's never signed the release form for us.
Really?
Yeah, they verbally said okay and let her step foot in there and do everything. But every time I've said, can you just sign this to let us use the pictures? They just haven't gotten back to me. So I'm sure it's just, they're not intentional. It's just they're busy. He's not paying attention. I've stopped in. He's not there. I don't know if anybody here actually has met the new owners.
I haven't met the new owners.
Yeah.
I've got a friend who's got a boat there that I could talk to see if I could try to get a contact number.
Okay.
But I haven't met them yet.
Okay. So that's just kind of one of the things we'd have to tick off the box.
Do you know his name?
Not off the top, I do, but I have it, I don't know the name off the top of my head. It's
It wouldn't happen
two
to be
owners.
Scott Kenny, would it?
It's two guys from a Berkeley, but I don't know their names.
Okay, then that's
Okay,
definitely not.
yeah. There's one of the little things we have to tee up here.
Yeah, I've got an aunt who's lived in Berkeley for 75 years. Maybe she can, maybe she knows them. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you the names, yeah, okay. I also talking here about posting your business events on our event calendar, which of course we do not actually have an event calendar. So let's get one. No, other towns do this where it's like you have something going on at your town, post it, advertise it, and we'll put it on our calendar. And kind of thing we could also do if we have that web page or, you know, that sort of thing. So
Yeah, we could even do things like, share articles, almost like blog post type things to generate buzz. We could even ask folks on some of the other committees, like permitting bodies, like planning board, zoning board, conservation, if they'd be willing to contribute anything, just information that might be of note to somebody who's doing a project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that could be a lot of fun.
Okay, good. I also added in here about regular posts on the DDIC Facebook and LinkedIn page, which we don't do regular posts. I'm not a social media guy and I don't use Facebook much, so I don't put anything out there. And we've never gotten access to the town's LinkedIn page. Mike keeps saying, oh, we forgot the password. We have to try to find it someplace. But John and I were at an event at the Chamber of Commerce and Taunton economic planner was there. And he said, link book is definitely where you want to be. LinkedIn rather is definitely where you want to be. He gets a lot of traction off of that. So I guess posting, having that LinkedIn presence is important. So
Yeah, it's a LinkedIn.
yeah.
Yeah.
What did I say?
I think you said link book.
Link book. Okay, no, LinkedIn. Yeah. So,
Was that Jay Pettiacos?
Yeah, great guy. Great guy.
Yeah, I follow his content. I actually follow him on LinkedIn. I'm one of those LinkedIn engagements that he gets. Yeah, I post a lot of great stuff. And actually, one of the things they post about that would be really great for us to learn more about, and if we have the ability to take part in it, is the underutilized properties grant. I know very little about it, but I do know there's a state grant called the Unutilized Properties Grant that Taunton is using in order to, I believe it's to secure funds for people that are going to rehabilitate, buildings that are commercial, industrial, but need a lot of work.
Right.
I believe that that's a program designed to kind of soften the blow for somebody that's willing to take on a project. But it's called the Underutilized Property Program, and he posts about it all the time.
Really?
Yeah. They're doing a couple things down the Weir. I forget exactly what, but I think one thing down the Weir and something at the Green, I believe.
That's for existing buildings.
Right. Oh yeah, that's true. We don't have very many of those here. Right. Actually, we've got the mill, which I know that's not town owned, but
the mill. Oh yeah, that's not.
I wonder if that's something that would qualify if somebody were to acquire it, or if it were to be sold. I wonder if that's something that would be.
Yeah, I think what you're thinking of, so in Taunton, there's I think it's the Bells. It's right on the corner of C7th, 5th Street, if I'm not mistaken, and Ware Street. And the place, they will actually give it to someone for $1, providing that they do the right thing.
No kidding.
To it,
No kidding. My dad grew up on 7th Street. That's funny. I bet he probably could tell me the whole history of the building.
Oh, I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would. But I don't know how that works. Supposedly there was somebody that was interested in it, but they still haven't come up with a fund or something like that. But it's pretty interesting. So,
this is kind of a track. Also, I talked in here about people wanting to participate in our quarterly business roundtable, which of course we do not have a quarterly business roundtable. But it's one of the things we had talked about is having regular meetings where you invite in business people. I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We could even offer it as a, offer it hybrid. That way, if people want to come in, like a digital coffee connect with the local government in a way to kind of share what's going well, what's not going well, what are the pain points, what can government do to try to encourage economic activity.
So this is a draft. If people have feedback or comments, Mike's been on vacation, but he's back this week. He has some feedback. And I know the town actually has a marketing firm that they use. They have like a set number of hours.
Oh,
that they
yeah,
put
that's
for the
right.
year.
Yeah, JGPR, John Guilfoyle Public
Yeah.
Relations.
And I think that Mike controls like who gets to use how many hours, because they just have X number of hours that they buy for the year.
And we might have plenty, because we originally were the town, I think unless they amended whatever deal they were going to do with them, there was originally going to be a monthly newsletter that the town would be putting out, that they had contracted.
Yeah, I saw Facebook.
Yeah, GDPR about it. They ended up moving it just because department heads were having a hard time coming up with content every month. So they moved it to every other month. So I'm not sure if we contracted hours based on
that
monthly, right? So we may, unless they changed it, we may very well have have some in the kitty, so to speak.
But if they could review this and give us, their input and feedback and suggestions, whether it's just a layout or colors or content or anything, and
The more the merrier.
yeah. Okay. Did anybody have anything else, any feedback about this trifold, or what can be used for, or how to change it, prove it? No. Okay. So we'll just keep this, so we'll keep working on it, see what they say, Mike says, and just feed me any feedback you have about how to improve it.
Awesome.
Okay. Some of the other things we had talked about was, and I don't know if you had a chance to do anything about this, Paul, but we've been talking about whether the land use could identify properties that could be leased for agricultural purposes.
Yes, that is in process right now. I actually spoke with Stephanie today. She's hoping to have a list for me this week of potential candidate properties. So what I told her we'll do is, once we get the full list of the potentials, that I'm going to ask her to do like 5 per 10 per week. That what I'll do is I'll look on the GIS map, see what kind of seems like a non-starter from the get-go, whether it's completely landlocked or all swamp, or if there's any that we know are kind of issues.
Yeah.
And then once I think we'll be able to kind of do a quick preliminary filter, and then get down to however many parcels might be potential candidates to look at. And then I'll start examining those on a parcel by parcel basis, and I can bring however many I have that have been kind of scrubbed as potential candidates. I can bring those for next month's meeting.
Okay.
And hopefully I'll have a little bit more background on them. And then what I'll do is I'll see, one of the things that I'll include would be if assessing can check to see if there are like enforcement orders recorded on the properties or anything, because a lot of these, I'm sure, have never been engineered, they've never been, perked or anything like that. And so one of the things I'll do to see if it's like an enforcement order for wetlands or anything like that on there that we kind of know from the get-go, won't be worth looking at. And hopefully we'll have a nice healthy list that we can look at. But yes, I did speak with her about that today. They've been a little shorthanded. They just had a new employee start today. So they're working on that list now. They hope to have it by the end of the week. And that was my update on that one.
Okay.
Then I also had a business spotlight update as well.
Yeah, if you want to share that.
Oh, sure. So I just emailed Dan today. So Chris Reddy, who's a retired firefighter from DFD, now in retirement, has started All Out Services, a home inspection company, which is based out of Dighton. And so he has asked if we can try to identify a date. So this afternoon, I sent out an intro email connecting him and Dan, said he does the scheduling. And
you sent it this afternoon?
Yeah. Oh, you know what I sent it to? I didn't send it to your email. I sent it to DDIC email.
Right.
That's what I did.
Okay.
And so hopefully we can get that scheduled. I had a brief conversation with Laura and said, as long as we could just send her a request. She said that the first 2 weekends of May, she thinks she's available, but we'll kind of play by ear once we know. And Yeah, a lot of fun.
Actually, I thought you were going to talk about the last one you just did a week ago.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, we also just did another one. At long last, we were done talking about having the assessors come on. We finally done it. So I interviewed Stephanie Schechter, the principal assessor. She came on. We did an interview of probably around a dozen-ish questions. And yeah, we had a lot of fun. We got some good information out there. And I think that hopefully that will encourage some questions. And then maybe we can see, based on the feedback we get from the interview, if maybe there's a couple specific topics that were more interest to the business community that we could have areas to drill those down further. And but yes, that was our other update on that. Is we've interviewed Stephanie Schechter from the assessors. We've talked about personal property, commercial valuations, and what go into determining your amounts, what's taxable, what's not. Hopefully this will dispel some of the fear that I think people have of like coming out of the woodwork, so to speak. I know some people haven't wanted to appear in the business guide because, you know, they're worried that we're, calling the IRS or something like that. So hopefully that will help to kind of better inform people who does what, so that they'll want to engage with us more.
Yeah. Yep. Quick question, Dan, can you, do you post the URL link to those YouTube videos on Facebook?
I haven't been doing anything on Facebook for quite a while, so I have not. Well, I take that back. I've been posting them actually under my own name for the last couple times. We actually, until this last week, we haven't done one in a good 5 months, 4 or 5 months since our last one. So it's been a long time.
Right.
But yeah, I did post them back then, correct, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think, that's a good avenue for us to get some, uptake on what I think is going to be some great information for the citizens of Dighton, about assessing in businesses, right? So the more we can get that information out, the better, I think.
And I think whether it was Laura or you, one of our previous meetings said, after we do it, and it's available, it's posted, because I have to edit it yet, that we put it on the town site if possible, and use that as a way of saying, does this generate questions? Do you have any more? Do you have any
Right.
feedback? Do you have any, more information you'd like to know about, kind of thing? And, as opposed to just putting it out there and see what happens, just start saying, this is out there for you to give us feedback on, and questions back to the assessors, and, that kind of thing. So some of the questions you had, actually, she answered, if you do have a piece of your house that you're using for commercial purposes, they're going to subdivide that little 500 square feet or something, deem it commercial, tax it at the appropriate rate, the rest of your house is at the other rate,
I thought that was something, because the same thing happened to me here when I had the barber shop there.
Yeah.
Right.
That's so.
And what else was another point she made?
But I think that a lot of people are going to shy away from registering a business because of that reason.
Yeah, I mean, technically, the state says if you're doing business, you need a business certificate, and you need to get it from the town. And if you go to an insurance company or a bank, they're going to require it. So it's only if you're you don't need financing, you don't need insurance, you're really small, that you could probably not have a business certificate without anybody noticing it. But if you go for financing, you go for insurance, it's going to force you to do it. You want to declare it on your taxes, it's probably should have to do that, because you can get a deductible off your personal income taxes for having it,
There is quite a few businesses paying rent out of people's homes. And they're not that far away from us, from the immediate area, and they're very happy running the business the way they are, and nobody does anything about it, So.
I did ask her, because they have been talking at one point about, Rehoboth does this, and I believe Berkeley does it too, which is, if your total valuation for your business is like under $5,000, or I think in Rehoboth it's 10,000, then they just say it's a wash. We're not gonna, if it's under that valuation between your personal property and the land value for the business section, we're not gonna tax you anything. You know, and part of that is it costs money to tax people, right?
Right, oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you need staff, you're sending
Oh, yeah.
out bills,
Postage, a
your the
mailer.
occasional collection notices,
Yep, oh,
all of
yeah.
those add up. So
Absolutely.
there's a, at some point, there's like, the town actually makes no money if they send you a bill for $5 because it costs them 10 to run the process to begin with, you know? So there's some magic number where there's actually no revenue to the town anyway, and you might as well say to the people,
Right.
if you're under that, we're not gonna tax you. But there's also some level where you just wanna be, you know, encouraging business, and you say at this level, whether it's 5,000, 10,000, whatever. So I asked her about that at the interview, and she said, although they brought it up once, like 6 months ago, they've not been discussing it since then.
Right.
So I think that's something, if they don't jump on, that we might wanna follow up and introduce at some point,
Absolutely.
you know, to say, really, you know, that's the best thing you should do. Other towns do it. There's no reason we don't, so.
Absolutely. Is that something that we could even put on for our next meeting to maybe consider doing a motion to draft a recommendation to send a letter to the board, just recommending that they consider it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Hmm.
And then between this meeting and next, I could get a little documentation from other towns that do that
Okay.
and just forward it to them. That way they can kind of see the nuts and bolts of, yeah.
What was I- oh, when you were talking about leasing land for agriculture, I was gonna say, after you come up with a short list,
Yes.
probably right off the top of their head, Laura and Barbara looking
Oh,
at this could say like,
absolutely.
yeah, you're not gonna grow anything there, and this is a great piece, and you know. that kind of
Right,
thing.
absolutely.
Because there are certainly things that are not landlocked, we could lease, but nobody in their right mind.
Right, I'd even be
try to
happy
grow anything
to,
there, so.
right, I'd even be happy to drive them around all the different parcels. Really go look at them. That's Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I like that idea a lot, but there is one piece, and I think we talked about this before, which is on 3 Street. That would be a very nice piece to develop. And I actually brought this up one time to all the people in town. Were you attending?
Yes, and the DDIC was dissolved a month later. True.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But that was not the reason.
I think it was.
You think so? No. But honestly, we need housing for the elderly in this town, really bad. And I still feel that we should try to bring that up again. You know, a different way, presented by someone else other than yours truly.
Well, I will say the town is in the very early stages of putting together a housing production plan. And there will probably be public hearings in the Board of Selectmen. I think it's going through the Board of Selectmen, I believe, can be the one spearheading that. So if you don't see that on the agenda when it does come up, I can try to shoot you an email or something like that as a reminder to let you know, because that might be a great place to get some input there.
I just honestly, I don't know why I keep bringing that up the way it took place before, but I still feel that that would be a perfect spot for it. Sewer, water. Well, there is no sewer there. The sewer would have to be brought up to it, but I think a lot of other people would benefit from it instead of the septic systems that they have that are, some of them are going south, you know, but I don't know. You probably know more about it than most of us, other than myself.
Oh, about the
Yeah.
parcel and septic in general, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really, really nice parcel. My wife the other day, you know, about a year ago, she goes, "Do you still want this?" I said, "No, throw it away." She tossed it all out, you know, so I had an engineering friend of mine that actually put something together on it. The way it went out, I just throw it out, but it keeps popping into my head. Somebody's gonna make something of that someday. May not be in my time, but I think it should be done for that purpose. You know, but anyways.
Some of the other things that we talked about as part of, things for 2024, and so some of these we talked about and just said, people think about and see if you're interested in volunteering to like do some work on it. One was to update the town's business development and permitting guides. Not so much to change the content, but more the layout, the flow, just to make it easier. And I think, Paul, you had said you had some interest in doing that.
Yes, yeah, I have been attending as often as I can. I've been attending PACT meetings.
Okay.
To try to identify what needs to be done to kind of bridge the silos between permitting bodies.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of ideas. I don't know if I'm quite ready to, hit the ground running with them yet, but I definitely have an interest in that, because I think that's one of the things we really need, is to kind of clarify what the rules of the road are for doing business here.
And I don't know if you were involved or just the chair of the Conservation Commission was involved, but Jeff, what's Jeff's last name?
Cavallo.
Jeff Cavallo is the chair of the planning board, has been part of working with Mike and Conservation and Stormwater about reorganizing the whole permitting process.
Oh, good. No, I haven't been involved, but I'd love to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah, about how to streamline it so it's people aren't having to go to multiple committees, pay more money than they really have to.
Right.
For, duplication of effort.
Right.
And just make it go a lot smoother and easier for people, whether it's a house or a business.
Right,
that they're trying to
absolutely.
develop, so.
You should look into Attleboro as a really, really nice setup for permits. This is the building department, but it involves all the other departments. I've talked to people that within 48 hours, they have a building permit in their hands through the system that they have. They submit it online, and from there, it just goes right around, and each department signs it or puts their feedback on it and stuff. Very, very easy. Taunton supposedly has one, not perfected yet, but they have a very nice system coming.
One thing we just started and we're in the process of rolling out is integrating different departments with PermitLink, which I think will be huge. So that's the software that the building department uses for issuing permits. It's where they keep all the, it's like their document repository and all of that. And what they have the ability to do is to build user profiles for different officials and then task them whenever something comes in. So like, that's how we do. So we got rid of the paper form for tax sign-offs now. Whenever a building permit application comes in, I don't use the paper one anymore. I get an email alert that a new one has been generated and I've been assigned a task. So then I log into PermitLink and I pull it up, pull the parcel, and then check the property owner, check the taxes, all that stuff. And then I do my sign-off digitally. And then I think that, so conservation now has just started utilizing that as well. The assessors are on the cusp of it. They just got a joint email box. That saves us from having to buy multiple licenses for each individual in a department. Like I made a separate email that's just treasurer or collector at Dighton MA, and it goes to everybody. That way, if I'm out of office and a permit request comes in, somebody in the office can get it and log in. I think that that would be a really big win for, like if Kerry, for example, were to get a login for that, because she's, the office manager for planning and zoning. So that would be able to kind of allow her to weigh in if there's something, if some requirement for each individual thing. I think that's one step that will help a lot, but it's just one of those things. There's so many moving parts that like every time I have my eureka moment that solves the Dighton permitting process, I'm like, oh yeah, wait, still this.
That's the reason why I want no part of it. Because I'm just terrible with.
Actually, that reminds me, in the pamphlet I put in here, who do I contact about my new business? And I say, please start with the planning office. That's Carrie.
Yep.
That's directly because of what Jeff is kind of pushing for, which is that planning be kind of like the hub
Yeah, that
off
makes
of
sense.
which stormwater conservation feed.
Right.
Not that they don't have their own things that don't involve planning sometimes, but really, most things come in through planning.
Right.
Yeah. Feed out.
Oh, it's called planning for crying out loud.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, okay, so did you need any that's working through the guidelines or?
I would love as much as you want to be involved. Absolutely.
All right, yeah, so let me know if there's something you need to.
Okay,
Ask me
as I
about.
get invited to PAC meetings too, I'll start, letting you know when they are in case you can make it.
Okay.
And if you can't, if, there's any, good nuggets that come out of it, I'll shoot you a synopsis.
Okay, all right, good. The next item was find ways to support or grow home-based businesses. I am gonna reach out to Carrie, she was out sick last week, about trying to get on their planning board's agenda for June.
Is she back?
She wasn't really out, she was just working from home, I think.
Right, but I don't know if she's
Back.
better.
Okay. But to present it in June to the planning board, our ideas about loosening up guidelines on home-based businesses, letting it a little bit more, less restrictive. And hopefully they'll buy into it and either some that or some version of it that they approve, get on the special town meeting. See if they can get that passed.
Nice.
Let's see. Research how other towns approach rural landscape design. This was a suggestion by the by Circuit for the economic development plan. I'm not 100% sure,
Right.
how this would work in Dighton. I think we've talked about how our planning guidelines right now, particularly on businesses, talk more about screening and buffers than they do a landscape design that gives like the town a certain vibe about how the town looks and presents itself and, that kind of thing, which is what some towns have done. Some, to the extreme, like historical towns, that kind of thing. But the idea that, the towns start putting some guidelines, like it's not just tall trees that screen you, we want a certain look.
Right.
When you drive down the street.
Right. You can pick one of these 5 types of trees.
Yeah, and particularly for businesses, this is, what we want the neighborhoods to look like. So some towns have done this, I think actually, John, you were saying Bridgewater or has started something along those same lines. Am I correct? You're on mute?
Yeah, absolutely. In Bridgewater, they're starting to, actually, it's coming up to a vote this week to implement within the downtown district a form-based zoning, I think it's called. And basically, what they're trying to do is say, show me what you want to do with this property. And if it meets certain criteria, then we're going to let you do it, right? So, they're not going to consider height restrictions anymore. They're really willing to combine commercial and residential in the same unit, that sort of thing. So I think that is going to pass this next week in Bridgewater.
But there were even guidelines about like what the street side has to look like, right? In terms of size, windows and sizes and shapes of window sills, and they're trying to get a certain look, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's something, we still want to think about. I just had it on there to see if somebody wants to research that and see, and come up with some ideas of what, if at all, that would, how that would play out in Dighton.
Landscape design that reflects the character of the town.
Right.
So wetland plants.
Yes, exactly.
That's gonna open up a lot of, I can only imagine telling some homeowner, you have to do this.
Doing some skunk cabbage over there.
I wasn't thinking so much homeowner, I don't think businesses, but.
Just strictly business.
Like going down County Street, if we had a way to like everybody says County Street is ugly. It's just barren is what it is, there's no trees, it's just dirt and buildings and maybe a little bit of grass and pavement. So that's just, if you picture that, but said, what if this looked different? Would it help the town? And would it help grow businesses if this just looked different? It looked appealing as you were going down.
I know that the Conservation Commission has, I know Laura and Barbara are probably gonna watch this meeting. I'll tell you, I'm not a farmer, so I'm not gonna tell you if they've like sprouted or, otherwise hatched, so to speak, a bunch of chestnuts. So they now have, I think there's somewhere like around 100 of them remaining right now. And they've all, they've cracked and started to come out. And I know that the chairman of the Conservation Commission has stated that he's willing to give them for free to anybody who's got an appropriate amount of land who would be interested in revitalizing the North American chestnut population.
But he also told me that some people let them grow to a certain size and then they go there and take them. So where are they going? I don't know. But he's already had a couple of them disappear.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask him to take a few because I have spots that I can put them on.
Nice.
But I don't know exactly. I'm even thinking of putting some around the house over here.
Nice.
On the corner. That'll be a great place for somebody to go there and take it.
Gone in 60 seconds. Right.
Yeah.
Well, we can just, just leave that as an item and circle back to it, because I know that people are working on different things. So one was something that Laura had said she would look into. She's not here tonight, but research how other towns have found ways to enhance agriculture through the use of incubator spaces. And I know John often brings up the example of, I'm sorry, what's the name of the incubator space in Rhode Island?
Yeah. Thanks. You're going to make me remember it. I'll remember it. It's in
something
Warren.
Village. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but are there what would be required?
Right.
What's a feasible size of a building to take on such an endeavor? What are the requirements in terms of power and water and health code restrictions and all that kind of thing? Both of them were really excited about the very idea of it because, they said, professional ovens and all those kinds of things are so expensive, but there's always a need for people who are looking to make use of that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So they just wanted to do so. I think Laura said she would do some research on that to just get us more information and see if that's something that could exist in Dighton. Awesome. What are the requirements for it? So, let's see. Research ideas for technical support the town could offer to small businesses. Like, what have other towns done? What would be the cost benefits? I think, John, you had mentioned that you might have some time to look into that.
And I haven't.
Okay, fair enough. That's okay. This is research only. This was not to come up with a deliverable, so.
Yep, okay.
I know that, when you talk about some of that, you're like the town putting up money to get X benefit available to the businesses, which would be a struggle, for Dighton. But are there things that are either no real cost to the town, but they could just make available for sharing or minimal cost that would really help a business, so they don't have to do as much on their end in terms of services that they're trying to stand up to support things.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Laura also agreed to look at more about ecotourism, things like farm to table dinners, corn mazes, all those kind of side things that farms can do to add extra money, but they're kind of adjacent to running a farm.
Absolutely.
But she actually said it's big business, and it really helps, the farmers to, cover their costs when they do those sorts of things, So, so she's just going to give some more information on that. I think those are all the things we had talked about, like maybe working on or looking at this year. So I don't know if I missed anything.
I think you got them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually all I had for today. I didn't have any correspondence. We have no public input. I didn't get the chance to do the minutes, so we can vote on those next time.
Sounds good.
Did anybody have anything they want to bring up before we adjourn? No? All right. Entertain a motion. Our next meeting date, we'll keep for the fourth Monday of the month for May.
Okay.
Which I think would be May 20th. I can double check here.
Monday looks to me like this 27th.
Monday, the 27th. It's also.
Oh, that's Memorial
It's
Day.
Memorial Day, so do people want to keep it on Memorial Day? Do we want to reschedule? Are people going away? Do they have travel plans?
I don't have any plans on that day as of yet.
Do we want to skip May? I can't bring it forward a week because Raphael and I are going away for that week. So, and I don't know if we just want to, if we meet in 2 weeks, that might not really be, we don't have a lot to talk about in terms of progress to discuss. So we can either, I would suggest either we stick with Memorial Day or we not meet in May and just resume in June. I think those are our two best choices.
Yeah, let's go with that. If something pops up, then
Okay, does that work for people? We meet the fourth Monday in June, but if there's something that comes up, we can always plan around it and put together a meeting.
That sounds great.
Okay,
sounds good.
Okay. And somebody want to make a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
To have a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Good, meeting's adjourned. Thank you for joining.
Have a great night.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
You know, I actually do, now that we're done, I have some interesting